so we can see it.
Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I'm in Tableau Desktop Public Edition. So you are able to download this from the Tableau public website. It's a software that data analysts typically use for visualization. So this is an example. I downloaded this desktop edition for use for this session, right? Like Mr. Michael said, we don't want to take too much of your time. I will just quickly run through the interface, and then we will get right straight to the demonstration. Any questions so far? Okay, great. Let me even just see if I can share so you see what it is like really. Let's see. Am I able to bring this? Can you see my screen? And can you see publictableau.com?
Yeah, yeah, can see it.
Awesome. So basically, you can download a free version of Tableau Public Desktop from here. And then you can work with data that you can use from Kaggle. So Kaggle, you just need to sign up basically, and then you have access to different types of data sets, and then you can download different data sets just for your practice and just for your knowledge as well. Right? Okay, so let's get right back to Tableau. Can everybody see my Tableau screen?
Yes.
Awesome. So here is the pane for connecting to your data source, right? So because I'm using the public version, I don't have a lot of options, but like if you're using the desktop version, which is a paid version, you can connect to so much more data sources. For me right now, I can only connect to Excel, text file, JSON file, PDF, some spatial files, and statistical files, right? And then to a server, these are the only options I have. I have Google Drive if the data is there, OData, web, but you would see a lot more, right? If you're working with a licensed version of the software. And so let's get back to Tableau. And so I downloaded some data from Kaggle, and it was a CSV. What I'll do is I'll just pick this unemployment Canada 1976 till 2023, I believe. And let's say I open it. So that was my connect space. These are well, I was going to show you that, but those were the in your Tableau space, that would be like files that you've worked with in the past, and then you had some viz, right? But let's go right away to unemployment data. And I already downloaded this from Kaggle, and that was why it was on my desktop. Can everybody still see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. So the one thing I want to say is don't worry too much about the data, right? Or the story I'm trying to tell. What I'm really trying to do is just to show you what you can do with visualization tools. So don't worry too much about data, right? I know some people would probably prepare their data differently, or they have data and they understand the entire storytelling. But just take it for what it is, where my data is just for you to envision what is possible with data visualization, right? So let me start here. reference date, as you can see, I think it's by month, but I would prefer it by year. So let me refer this to year. And you can do all of this within the Tableau interface, right? So I can change that to year. It doesn't affect the original data source. It just affects what is in Tableau, right? And then the other thing I want to do is I want to change here. I want to change, so I'll click on the ABC there, and I want to change it to date as opposed to string. I don't need that. I need it as a date because I'm going to do some computations down the line, right? Same as here, where I'm going to change the name to province. So let's say it's province, okay, right? And I'll just do some data cleaning just to show you, but don't look at the data. Again, this is just an example. Whatever story you're trying to tell is based on the data that you have available to you. And this data I got it from Kaggle, right? Let's see here, Kaggle. So you just sign up and then you can have access to different types of data sets, right? So here I'm going to, for instance, let's see. Let's look at the age group. I don't need all of this data. I just need people that are between 15 and over, to be honest. Again, don't worry about the data source. Let's see. So also for province, where I'm going to require everything but Canada, because Canada isn't a province. I just need the data for all the different provinces, right? And then let's see, years.
So Lade, so
Yes.
in line with your data pipeline, right? So
Mhm.
you brought the data from a data source. That is extraction, right?
Yes.
You extracted the
Yes.
data, right, from wherever it's coming from. And now
Yes.
you have the data now embedded within the tool, which is Tableau.
Tableau.
Now
Yes.
you are massaging the data, which is more like transformation.
Yes.
So this is the ETL that we are talking about, folks. That's
ETL.
what it's doing now.
Exactly.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. So the thing is, so again, thank you so much, Mr. Michael. Is I may have skipped so many processes and it might affect the audience. Here's the thing. I have this data that I sourced from Kaggle. Here, if you sign in, you can get the data again from Kaggle. And the reason I'm massaging the data is so that we can make some useful intelligence out of it. But the thing is, it's just a sample. Don't take all of the massaging I'm doing as this is what you have to do in your own business. You need to understand your data and you need to be very, very, very aware of the story that you're trying to tell. Right? I'm just doing this as an example, and I'm also using this as an example to show you that you can filter data and then you can manipulate, you can massage, you can do whatever it is you want to do with your data within Tableau. So your data preparation, there's even actually a Tableau extension that's called data prep, where you can massage the data before you bring it into your data visualization. Does that make sense? Everybody? Should I go on?
Yeah, please go on.
Yes. Go on, sir.
All
They are
right.
trained to teach. That's all.
Awesome. Awesome. So I'll tell you something else about this data. This data is aggregated by months, right? But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get it by years. And so what I do is I'll filter it by years, and then I'll only specify the years that I need. So 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023. Now, this is monthly data. Again, I need to emphasize this point that I'm only doing this for demonstration. Your data telling story would be different, right? But let me show you the extent of what you can do with the tool. And this is Tableau. And so I've kept all of these 3 different filters, and I say, okay, right? Notice I've changed the name, and then also I've changed the type of data. And what I did here was I changed it to date. And then here I removed Canada because Canada is not a province, right? Now let's get straight into it. So the first thing I would like to show, and again, this is just for exposition, is to share. It's not the sort of data story you might want to tell, but let's say the data story I wanted to tell was about unemployment across Canada, right? First thing I want to do is make a map. So I'll just drag province. No, that's not it. I should have a map. No. 1 second. It shouldn't pop this way. Typically, you should be able to drag, you know what? I'll change geographic roles and province. I think that's the reason. So always remember that the type of data, if you keep it at text, then that's the sort of result you have. So let's say we take province and then we drop it here. Now you see a graphical representation of all the provinces that you're looking for. One other thing is you can move it to color so that you can see different colors, right? And that's the great part about Tableau is Tableau allows a lot of automation behind the facts, so you don't have to worry about it. Now, remember, the thing I did was change here from a string to a graphical role, and I selected state and province, right? So now you have all the different provinces in Canada, and then because I dragged it to colors, it gave me a legend of different types of colors, right? So let's say we're looking at unemployment rate. Now, based off of this, I can just go and instead of dragging it here, I just drag it to label, right? Now it shows me the unemployment rate, but as a sum across all the different provinces in Canada. What we want to do, right, is get the average as opposed to the sum. Remember, this is the total of all across different years. And that's why I keep saying, don't refer to the data, just follow what I'm doing. And then whenever you have your own data, you'll be able to interpret it the best way. So let's say average. Now you can see the average for several years over different provinces is now visible. Now we can come to unemployment rate here and then just make sure we are able to format. So let's say we come to normal customs, we put percentage, and then we remove the decimal places. That didn't work. Unemployment. I think it should have been unemployment rate. Sorry. And then unemployment rate. Then we go and format the number. Percentage. And then instead of the sum, we're looking for average. And so this is the average unemployment rate from 1976 to date. So we can take the year and we can filter it by the year, right? This would be much easier. So we just select all and we say okay. And then we also want to make sure that it shows. So show filter. So apply to worksheets. Let's say all using this data source because we're creating a dashboard down the line. And then we also want to make it a single value list, but we also want to remove show all. So it only shows, it doesn't show a sum of values. It only shows the values, right? And so what we have here, so another thing is for maps, always remember that you can select the maps here so you can get the entire fill. Because if you leave it a circle, then this is what you get. That's what the automation will do, but that's so that you can get a feel, you have the maps. You can also change, like, so the tooltips is like if someone hovers over any of the data points, they can see different things. You can change tooltips here. You can add whatever it is you want to. You can change how it appears here, but I'm not going to go into details, right, about formatting the maps. But let's say you wanted to change map view, you can come to map here, right? And then you can look at a normal map. You can look at a dark map, right? For this illustration, let's use a normal map, right? And then we'll make sure that the tooltip has the province and the average unemployment rate. Okay, so this is a simple example, making sure that the filter is there, and then we just nickname and say average on unemployment rate by province. Okay, so that's first chart for a future dashboard using Tableau. And then you can write just straight across, see the average unemployment rate by province. Any questions so far? No? Can I continue?
Yes, please. Yeah, you can. Please.
Awesome. All right. So let's say we're telling a story about unemployment or employment in Canada. So next thing we want to do is, let's say we want to create a table. And again, I do emphasize that forget about the data or whatever it is. Just focus on what you can achieve right here with Tableau. So let's say population, and then we have provinces. So we drag provinces, and then we look rows or columns. I think rows, right? Because that's the way a table is. But if you're confused about any of this, there's this button here that lets you know where you want to put your stuff. So let's say I put it this way. I can click on that button and then it removes my province from rows to columns, but we actually do want it as rows. And then we do want to look at unemployment as numbers. So we just drag that there and put it all over there. But instead of sum, what we want, again, because it's over several years, is the average. Right? Now, we can take this and put it as years. It doesn't matter because we're going to we're going to a dashboard. So let's say show filter. It doesn't matter, right? We can hide this. You know what? Instead of the unemployment, let's look at population. All right, and then we just take unemployment and we remove it. And then instead of sum, let's look at the average over several years. Also, you don't need to update the name of the sheet. You can just put that here as average population by province. Okay. So you do have this. I can hide that, and that's average population by province, right? So you have Alberta, British Columbia, Manitoba, and this is the average population area. Now, let's say you want to look at the participation rate of people in this census, right? We can take province again, as usual, and rows. But because we're looking at a bar chart, let's put it as columns instead, right? That makes sense. And then participation rate as rows. But let's distinguish the provinces by colors. So I'll drag province here to colors. And so you can see the colors as they appear. And then you can see, right? But we don't want a sum. We actually want to see the average. Again, that's how you have to be able to know your data to be able to do this. So it's not a sum. We need to know after different years what's the average of the participation rates. And then you could click on this here so that you can see the exact value, right? Another way to format this is to go to participation rate and then go to default properties, number type, and then say custom number. You put percentage, remove the decimal places, and then there you have it. So you can see the average participation rate by the provinces, and then with their colors, and then there's a legend here that shows you. So let's say we name it average participation rate by province. Okay. Any questions so far?
Yeah, we are following.
All right, awesome. Let's continue going then. So let's make one final. I mean, this is a storyboard, right? So we're just trying to piece some things together, and this is just an example. There would be so many different examples within your organization, within your business, however it is. I mean, you just need to understand your data, and then you'll be able to use tools like this to be able to present things visually. So let's say we're creating unemployment, right? And let's say province, and we drop it here, but instead we make it a pie chart. Oh, sorry. Let me remove this. And let me remove this. Oh, let's remove or cancel. And so these are ways you can cancel things. Okay, so let's say I create a pie chart and I say province color. So I just needed to drag the provinces to color, but I also need to separate those provinces by, let's say, unemployment, right? So I put that there, and then unemployment, I put that also as size. What I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to create a donut chart. So bear with me. There's some manipulations I have to go through. So I'll just hide this. And then let's say I create a calculated field and I call it 1. And I say 1 here. And I apply. And I say okay. And I put this here. And just follow me. This is just a random way of trying to figure out a donut chart, right? So I have 1 and I have 2. I'll go to 2. I'll remove everything here because I don't need it. I only need for 1 chart. And I'll change the color to white. But don't worry, I'm getting somewhere with this. And then I'll make it a dual axis. And then I'll synchronize the axes. Okay. All right, awesome. I also need to make sure that I change this to average so that it goes to where it should. And average, right? So you can't see my guy anymore. That's great. So what I want to do here is reduce the size or increase the size. Let's say I'll reduce the size a little, increase the size a little more. Okay, that's a great dot. So what I want to do also here, and this is just a workaround, is hide that header. And then I want to make sure. Okay. All right. Okay, and then I'll just hide this guy too. Well, let's reduce the size a little bit.
Okay.
Let's see. There we go. All right. So basically, create a calculated field from here. Name it 1. I mean, this is just the process for creating a donut, right? And I'm using unemployment. So let me also use unemployment as the label, right? So you can see across different, right? For the tooltip, if I come here, I don't need the average 1. I created that so I can create the donut. So I'll take that out. And then now you can see unemployment by region or by province, really. And so I just name it unemployment by province. Again, it's just to show you what you can do with Tableau. It's not, I mean, a lot of people can do a lot more. And so let's name this how our provinces are doing, because we're telling a story. So we want to see what unemployment looks like across different provinces in Canada, right? So let's start with unemployment rates. We have a map here. Another thing you want to do in Tableau is determine size. So let's instead go for automatic, because it will automatically fit everything according to size, right? So population, I can move it here. And participation rate, I can put it here. On unemployment by province, I can put it here. Okay. And this is what a dashboard would look like, right? Easy enough. One thing you could also do is you can make all of this filters. So I'll tell you why this is important. So for instance, you click on Quebec. Now it's going to filter out in all of the dashboard the information here. So you can see Quebec, average population in 2021 was 7 million. Participation rate by the census was 64%. And unemployment rate, you have the values here. So it's 3.3 million. Does that make any sense to everyone?
Yes, it does. It's all coming together.
Yeah. Now, if you wanted to publish this, all you needed to do is click on save, and then it will take you to your Tableau public, and then you can save it as a work tab. I'm not going to save this one here, but let's assume you wanted to save it to your local machine. You could also save as, and then you could save it to a local destination. Now, if you save it as a Tableau workbook, you only get the workbook without the data source. If you save it as a packaged workbook, now you also have all of the data sources required to build this. And then anytime you connect to the data source, it updates and you can save it again as the Tableau workbook. But this is the demonstration for using Tableau, and I hope this was helpful to everyone. If you have any questions, please go ahead.
Wow. So that folks will not think that I'm a Superman. Some of these things are new to me as well. As in terms of the doing of it, right? But I understand what is being done, the why, and the value, right? And that's where the world is headed, because all that data is not useful to anyone if somebody cannot look at it like this, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So you now figure out, which area you want to be in. Do you want to be in the back end? And if you have to make a presentation to senior management, you may not even be the one making the presentation, but you need to be able to send something like this to your manager, who is now going to go make the presentation, right? So, no, thank you so much, Lolade. And, for the folks on the call, this is not a Tableau class. So, we are just trying to say that these are possibilities. These are things that you can explore. If you feel like this is something you would like to do, then you can go look for somewhere to get training. MBKonsult is not doing training right now. I don't know further down the line, but we are just trying to empower you that you can do much more, right? And we are opening you up to the possibilities. So we can take one or two questions before we go. Lolade, thank you once again. So in respect
Thank
of
you, sir.
me, will come back, right? But in respect of this, if we have somebody, yeah, please go ahead. Okay.
Me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Lolade. Thank you so much. Mine is not a question, but just an attestation to how deep the depth of today's session. I don't think it to me is time well spent. The thing I want to say with the demonstration you've done is the mastery will come with usage. So if there's anyone thinking "Oh, this is a lot, honestly, mastery will come with repetition and usage. And I see the overlap. For some reason, I'm seeing Salesforce dashboard for some reason, and I see the bedrock, the background of Excel interface somewhere layered there. So I would think anyone that can use Excel, like if you're like me, you're not into validate space, I think you can do this. I'm just trying to remind someone or remind myself I can do this. Thank you very much.
Great, 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 great. Thank you so much,
Thank
Aderonke.
you, Ronke. Yeah. Anyone else?
She hit the nail on the head when you said
Yeah.
it's not rocket science. If you can do this in Excel, you can do this in any other platform. I so appreciate that.
It's
I was
because
going to
you
also ask
accept
that.
guru,
Sorry, I was going to also ask that if someone has been able to work on Salesforce dashboard, how easy how easy it is that person able to work on this also? Because I've had some training on Salesforce, and I became quite adept with Salesforce, dashboard and everything, and report and all that, and it made a lot of sense to me. And before, I used to be very afraid of data, like, wow, dashboard, I mean, I can't do it, it's too hard. But when I was forced to learn about Salesforce dashboard, reports, data, and all that, I'm like, it's not too bad. And it was quite interesting. So the question is that if I could be quite adept with Salesforce dashboard and everything, can I also be adept, very good with this also?
let me help you out, Lade.
Okay, sir.
So Dami, a very good question, and I like where you are coming from. Now, don't forget that Tableau is now owned by Salesforce, right? So let me throw this back at you rhetorically. Why do you think Salesforce purchased Tableau? Whatever comes to this.
I'm thinking. I think you mentioned some time ago. Was it you or maybe Lola did that? The dashboard that is embedded in Salesforce was not too
Robust.
robust. Yeah, thank you for the
Correct.
word.
Exactly.
So because of that, Salesforce had to purchase Tableau so that it can become more robust. Yes.
Exactly. So yeah, that's you hit the nail on the head on that one, right? So they did that because they realized that what Salesforce is doing, right? Drag and drop technology, trying to make the average user, the learning curve to be able to onboard to Salesforce as an application should be as very minimal as possible. So in my opinion, you wouldn't want to compare Tableau to you doing dashboards in Salesforce, because most of these things will have been kind of pre-configured for you. You are just dragging and dropping, even though Lade is still doing drag and drop on the screen. But in this case now, you are the one that need to figure out exactly what you're going to be doing with that data. Whereas in Salesforce is literally leading you towards what you want to do. So it's going to be easier, but it's definitely a good stepping ground for you to come and do the same in Tableau. But Tableau is a tool that, just like Aderonke said, mastery is only going to come with repeated use. right? But in terms of, you being comfortable with manipulating, massaging, data, that's a skill set by itself. So whether in Salesforce, whether in Tableau, if you don't even have that, you can't even get started. Does that make sense?
Thank you very much. It makes
Thank
a lot
you.
of sense to me. So my question now is, when are we going to start the Tableau training with MBKonsult? If I'm allowed to ask that.
You're not allowed to ask that.
Okay. Okay, because you have given us like a taste of the pudding now. Now we want to eat the real thing
Okay,
now.
just leave it at the taste. I mean, that's acknowledged, right? I believe most of you know my position on training, right? I'm all about knowledge acquisition. We're in the knowledge economy, right? But I'm not going to come and give you a cockaboo training, right? You know me, right? Excellence is a way of life. So that's acknowledged, and all I can say for now is that I'll take it under advisement. Okay, and thank you very much for the recommendation. Okay, anyone else? Aderonke, is that an old hand or a new one?
Oh, apologies, please.
No, it's okay. All right. What I want to do right now is, if we don't have any questions with regards to exactly what Nadia has shown us, I want to gracefully stop the recording and not necessarily end the session. Again, at that point, it's free for anybody to step away. Just give me a moment. So, I want to just end the recording just for purpose of those that will be rewatching. So I just want to take this time once again to thank our facilitator. Lade Aderonke was telling me by the side that you would make for a very good teacher. I was thinking she was talking about me, but I'm quite disappointed that she wasn't talking about me. She was talking about you. That you
Thank you
make
so
for
much.
very, very good. No, thank Aderonke, not me. Oh.
Thank you, Aderonke.
That you make for a very good teacher, right? And
I'm a poor teacher, but thank you.
So I can't thank you enough, and for everyone that has taken time to to be out here. I'm glad, and I want to appreciate you all. Thank you very much, and God bless.